and growing up in Scientology is I was born and raised in Hawaii, and that's where my family got into Scientology. My mom married a Scientologist when I was 5 years old. She joined staff at the local Scientology organization and did services there. While she was there in the evenings and weekends in Waikiki, I was about 9, almost 10 years old at the time, and my sister would have been about 8. We would hang out outside Waikiki and try to sell crayon drawings that we would make for money for candy. And we would go talk to this security guard across the street named Mark to try and sell him in fact, he did buy some of our drawings. And next thing we knew, we were being banned from Scientology temporarily, which was kind of nice at the time. Long story short, it was because that man turned out to be Mark David Chapman. And I've got a little clip from a news piece that was done way back when, after Mark David Chapman went to New York and did what he did in murdering John Lennon. And it's just an interesting little piece of history because you guys know a little bit of the backstory where when I was a kid, I'd go over there. My mom was a body router for Scientology. Her job was to get people into the org in Hawaii to do the personality test. That's how they, rope you in, find out what's ruining your life and tell you only Scientology can handle that. So I would give the spiel to Mark David Chapman about, hey, you should come over and do a personality test. And I've always wondered, like, because I did hear that he did go into the organization, did I inadvertently, send him over when we were kids? I don't know, but there's just this ancient news piece that we're just going to look at from back in the day, because I thought it was interesting, and a few people sent it to me because they came across it as well. So this is the cult of Scientology in Hawaii, and this is back in December of 1980 after Lennon was murdered, and they were investigating Mark David Chapman.
At the Church of Scientology, they knew a different Mark Chapman.
All of a sudden, this guy, Chapman, just jumps in on me and starts screaming at me about this place being a cult and something really peculiar, and attacking me and swearing at me. And I couldn't believe it. The guy and I looked at each other and kind of looked over at Chapman. And I thought, well, let me see if I can, just talk to the guy sanely.
What was his physical demeanor when he started verbally attacking?
He was kind of jumping around and dodging his head. Oh, yeah. Crazy.
He would stand out in front of the apartment building. Now, the women that lived in the apartment building.
I remember Dennis Clark when I was a kid. I'm so amazed looking back on this that you just don't see Scientologists, especially staff members, allowed to speak to the media. But back then it was a different world than Scientology in ways.
So he seemed to know every single one of them by their first names and greet them very cordially. Then other girls walking by on the street would get obscenities, hey baby type remarks.
What I found interesting is it seems like Scientology was watching him, kind of had an eye on him. But that's the whole thing. That's kind of Gypsy Mimi. This is exactly my point. Even a nut like Chapman calls cult of Scientology a cult. When somebody like that is saying you're a cult, calling you out as a cult, and he is not the only one, by the way, you might kind of just go as Scientology, don't you? Go, oh my gosh, even the criminals and obviously people who are committing heinous crimes think Scientology is a cult.